Good morning, students. I hope all of you are fine today. So let's continue with the topic which we are doing previously, which is excretion in animals. Now today we will continue the topic which is excretion in human beings. Students, the major waste products which the human beings excrete, they are carbon dioxide, sweat, feces, urea and water. Now what are these? We will discuss. See students, carbon dioxide and water, they are produced when the process of respiration and during the breakdown of sugar molecules and fat molecules. Okay. Secondly, excess water is being removed from the body as sweat, and it is responsible by sweat glands which is present in the skin. Number 3 is the feces, that is the undigested food which is thrown out and it is very much necessary. And number 4 is the urea. Now urea is a substance, students, which is produced when unused proteins they are decomposed. Now it is formed when ammonia, that is nitrogen and hydrogen, that is NH3, it combines with carbon dioxide, then urea is produced. Now which are the organs who are responsible for throwing the waste products? They are lungs, kidneys, skin and large intestine. Lungs helps in the excretion of respiratory wastes such as carbon dioxide and water. Large intestine helps to excrete the feces, okay, with the help of the organ rectum and anus. Skin helps to excrete the sweat which contains salt, urea and some excess water. Now students, sweating is very much essential because it helps and it keeps our body cool during the hot summer days or hot summer season. And number 4 is the kidney, which helps in the excretion of liquid waste in the form of urine. Now, the excretory or the urinary system in human students. Students, urea, as we have already discussed, it is a major waste product which is produced in our body. So, our body throw these unwanted salts and urea in the form of a yellowish liquid which is called as urine. So, the organs which are responsible for the excretion is, that is, kidneys, ureter, urinary bladder and urethra, students. So we will discuss about kidney, students. Okay, so kidneys are located on the waist, okay, on either side of the backbone. Now kidneys, the shape of the kidneys are bean shaped, which is red brick in color, and it weighs around 150 gram. Now students, each kidneys, they have a network of thousands of coil tubes, thousands of round and round tubes which are called as nephrons. Now when blood reaches the kidneys, it contains both substances, that is useful and harmful substances. Now the useful substances, they are reversed back into the blood, and the funnel-like structures of nephrons, they just filter the useful products and separates the harmful materials which are mixed up in the blood. Now the nephrons from both the kidneys, they join up to form a tube which is called as ureter. See in the picture, students, there are two tubes which are coming out from the kidney, which is the nephrons. So the yellowish liquid, which is urine, it passes through this tube, that is ureter, and it's stored in the urinary bladder. Now urine which is collected in the urinary bladder, it is passed at a regular intervals through the opening which is called urethra. Okay students, so an adult human being passes urine of about 1 to 2 liters in a day. Now the urine contains 95% of water, 2.5% of urea and 2.5% of other waste products, which is the ammonia and uric acid, students. Now if the kidney fails, then what will happen? See, if the kidney of a person stops working due to some kind of an infection like bacterial infection, some kind of a mechanical injury, that means some kind of a accidental injuries, or if the blood pressure arises, then the kidneys are no longer useful to filter the waste products. Okay, and as a result it will get accumulated in the blood, and it will ultimately leads the person to death. So hemodialysis, it it helps the patient who are suffering from kidney failures to survive more or less indefinitely. Okay, so hemodialysis is carried through an artificial kidney, which is often referred as dialysis machine. So kidney failure may be rectified or may be corrected by hemodialysis, or you can say simply as transplantation of kidneys. Okay, so the procedure with which the blood is cleaned of a person by separating all the waste materials like urea from the blood, this process is called as dialysis. Now, how excretion happens in other animals? The ways in which the waste products or the harmful excretory products are thrown from the body of the animal, it depends on the availability of water. That means it depends on the amount of water present in it. For example, like aquatic animals, they excrete the waste in the form of gases, okay, which directly dissolves in water. The animals which are present in land, for example lizards, snakes, birds, insects, they excrete the waste products in the form of white colored semi-solid compound which is called as uric acid. Now we will discuss about the transportation of materials in plants. Now students, in plants, transportation of materials such as water, minerals and food, these are done by the special tissues which are present in roots, in stems and in the petioles, that is the stalk of the leaves. So these special tissues of plants which helps in the transportation, they are called as vascular tissues. So vascular tissues in Latin form means tube, and it is a vessel which transport all the essential substances in the form of liquids. So a tissue is a group of cell which performs specialized function in a particular organism. Okay, so the tube which helps in the transportation of water and minerals, they are called as xylem, students. They're called as xylem. Now the root hair, which increases the surface area of the absorption of water and minerals which are dissolved in water. Now water and dissolved minerals, they are get absorbed into the root hair of the plant. Okay, now these materials, they get transported to different parts of the plant in the upward direction through this xylem tissues. Similarly, the food which are manufactured in the leaves, they get transported to different parts of the plants through another tube which is called phloem tissues. So students, phloem and xylem tissues together, they form a vascular bundle. So the transportation of food from leaves to different parts of the plant, they are called as translocation. Now the materials which gets moved through the phloem, it depends on the living cells of the phloem tissues, and they are called as sieve tube, students. Okay, now the next is the transpiration. Like plants, as we know that they absorb essential nutrients and minerals from the soil. Now all these water, it is not used by the plant, that is the water which is taken up by the plants, they doesn't use the whole amount of water. Now the excess amount of water, it gets evaporated through the stomata which is present on the surface of the leaves. So the process in which the plants lose the water in the form of water vapor, they are called as transpiration. Now transpiration of water from leaves, it creates a suction pull, that is water leaves the plant, okay, with the help of excessive heat, okay, and it reaches the upper part of the leaves and ultimately it evaporates. So for that reason it cools down the plant. And the last topic is the excretion plant, students. Now as we know that plants doesn't have a specialized organ for the removal of the waste in case of multicellular organisms. Now there are some special methods in which they can eliminate the waste. For example, the gaseous waste like carbon dioxide, oxygen, they are released into the air, okay, by stomata of leaves and lenticels. Some waste are stored in leaves, students, in the plants and bark of the trees, which are periodically or which are shed by the trees in at regular intervals. Next is the students is that due to breakdown of the proteins and other essential compounds containing nitrogen, ammonia, they are formed in plants as a byproduct, as an essential product. So the ammonia, which is used by the plants to synthesize new compounds. Now some plants can be transformed into toxic substances, which is very harmful and insoluble form. So they keep them as crystals and stored in the body cells. Next is the some waste. They are stored in the plant bodies as solids such as rubber and raphides. Now raphides are look like needle in shape crystals of calcium oxalate, and this calcium oxalate are quite unpleasant if it is consumed. Now the stinging taste of yam that hurts the throats, they are rapphide students. So as we know that raphides doesn't dissolves in acids, or since raphides dissolves in acid students, so it consumes something sour which leads to uncomfortness. And last but not the least students, plants sometimes also removes waste from their bodies as gums, resins, sandalwood and eucalyptus as an example students. So students, so our chapter is completed here. So go through the chapter and I have uploaded all the question answers through the PDF. So learn all the question answers. But before that, read the chapter very carefully, understood all the topics, and more importantly, remember all the terms and their definitions as well, students. Okay? So that's all for today, students. Thank you.